This is the Art and Business of Writing podcast. Hey guys, Chris here, and do I have an offer for you today? My new book, The Art and Business of Writing, is available now on Amazon and through my website at book.chrisjonesinc.com. This is the book that you've been waiting for. If you're a writer who wants to learn how to set high goals for success, get a copy of this book. If you're a writer who wants to learn how to build a brand and a platform and be able to market that platform to your target audience, get this book. The Art and Business of Writing will teach you how to do all of those things and then some. Available on Amazon and on my website at book.chrisjonesinc.com. Get it today. Welcome to episode 23 of the Art and Business of Writing podcast. I'm your host, Chris Jones. This week, I had the pleasure of speaking with Salil Jha. Salil is an entrepreneur, angel investor, extreme adventurer, and motivational speaker. He lives in Boston, Massachusetts, and spends his time blogging and podcasting on the Naked Soul talk show. Salil has an audience of over 400,000 people on his website, plus his social channels are just booming with activity, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about really how to get more traffic to your website, how to get your social media channels popping, and what you really need to do to be great in all those areas. Salil brings all of his expertise, all of his energy, and I think you're going to love him. So without further ado, here is Salil Jha. Hey Salil, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Chris, for having me here.
Absolutely.
Excited to talk to you.
Yeah. I'm thrilled, man. We kind of developed this great virtual relationship, over the different social platforms. So it's great to kind of come together for the second time, as I was a guest on your show before, and now you get a chance to let me grill you with a few questions.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about yourself beyond your bio.
Most people can correlate with me. I wear multiple hats, and it's really tricky to define yourself in a single line. So, what I like to call myself beyond my bio or press kit or how I introduce other people in an elevator talk is I am a practical philosopher, and I write. I I make observation on human nature and this world, and I write about that. So even though I don't have a degree in philosophy, I like to think of myself as a practical philosopher.
Practical philosopher. How'd you come up with that? That's pretty cool.
That's a good question. Because philosophy can be something very abstract, and that's why it's not a very cool word to use. But in ancient Greece, and in fact, the beginning of even the Western civilization, and philosophy was a very popular school. In fact, that was the only school 2,000 years ago. The school of philosophy, and then there was religion, and there was art and music. And what I mean by practical philosopher is how do you meditate on the deeper things of human living and make it applicable to your day-to-day life. So that's why there is that practical philosopher. So it's not just about thinking how to have peace, how to meet your goals, how to dream big and achieve those, but going beyond that affirmation, visualization, and the just the theoretical part of that. I mean, getting that into your daily habit. So the practical aspect is there.
I like that. That's nice. So tell us about the Naked Soul. You come up with this name for your brand. It's called Naked Soul. Where does it come from?
It's again a very good question. Probably as you know, but maybe most people listening to this might not know. I have been an entrepreneur at heart for a long time, maybe almost a decade now, and I have tried and done a couple of things. Writing has been my passion, and I've always done something around blogging, writing, creating some sort of content, art, pieces, poetry, short stories, and etc. And I came up with this phrase, naked soul, in 2014, and that was sort of a junction in my life because I had a consulting business going on at that time. I was also working full time, so I was pretty busy, and the consulting business was making a lot of money on the side. It was software consulting, project coordination management, offshoring sort of thing. So a lot of profit margin, but my heart was not into that. And I was making money, but I was not happy. And it was long hours. So besides working your 9 to 5 job, I was working weekends, I was working late nights, and I'm an outdoors nature kind of person. I like to think on things, and I was not getting that personal time to do any of those things which I like. So after 2 years between 2000, in fact maybe 2.5 years, from mid 2011 to early 2014, I guess I had enough. So I decided that, hey, my business is making money, but it's not making a lot of money, and the reason it's not making a lot of money is because I'm putting in my effort, but I'm not putting in my heart. So if I want to take my business to the next level, I have to give it my all. And the reason I'm not giving it my all is because I really don't want to do this. So I thought that, okay, if not this, and as I told you, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I need to do something. I mean, I can't just do a 9 to 5 job and sit around and try to climb the ladder of the corporate world. So I have to do something. And then I thought, what are my passions? So I kind of went back to my childhood and I made a list. This was early, I think it was January 2014, and I made a list of the things which used to give me pleasure when I was a child, and the things which as a passion or as side projects I was doing despite not focusing on them as my career. So I thought that, oh, I'm writing. I like to talk to other people. I like to discuss philosophical topics. And I have already written by that time maybe more than 1,000 individual poetry and other pieces of poems and short stories. So I thought that, why not do something which I've always liked? And then the next question was, okay, so this time, if I'm going to start that, and with all the failures and all the successes and with everything behind me, I had to do it right. And I was turning 30 at that time. I'm 32 right now. So I thought that, okay, if I'm doing this, I'm going to do this right. So I need to come up with a brand name. So what to use? And there are so many good names out there. And when you try to start your own brand, when you try to create a brand around your name, it could be your own name, or you have to come up like Google came up with Google. Quora is Quora, and Ubuntu was a pretty popular word. It's an African word, which means I think it's a South African word, which means uh, I am because you are. It's a group emphasis, and it also became a very popular, cool, hip word in 2008 to 10. So I had to come up with a cool name and something which is also true to the message which I'm going to stick to. So I guess I was searching on Pinterest one day, not sure what, and I read a quote from Charlie Chaplin about naked soul to his daughter, which is very popular. Like your naked soul should belong to your naked body should belong to someone who possesses your naked soul, or who loves your naked, something like that. And then, so I knew that, okay, the word soul is something that I need to focus on. So that's the keyword. And what else? And then I thought, how about a naked soul? I mean, not like as in naked Jews. I mean, the word naked has been also very popularized. The naked human, the naked, there's a fat burning man. I mean, there are so many other brands. If you just type the word naked and then something, you will see there is probably a brand with a name like that. So I knew that it's going to be a very competitive space, but at the same time, naked soul meaning you are naked. There is no covering. There is no garb. There is no facade. There is no second image. I mean, it's just you, who you are as a soul. So I thought that, naked soul sounds like it fits to the message of my brand and to my heart. And then stick. I mean, I honestly, to answer your question, I did not waste a lot of time trying to come up with an awesome name. I just wanted a good enough name, and then sort of stick to that. So Naked Soul, I thought it's good enough, and then that was it.
All right. No, I like it though. I like that you one you thought about it, but two you found something to grab onto with the quote, and you kind of pieced it all together to create the brand. That's really cool. Now you talked about like going back and looking at the things you loved to do as a kid, the stuff you were passionate about, and you came across like and you talked about the writing and the blogging and the poetry and the stories that you did and how it all comes together. Let's start with your blog. Tell us about when you developed your blog, kind of some of the goals you had for it, and how did you meet those goals?
Yeah, that's a story of its own ups and downs. So again, coming back to 2014. So in 2014, um, I was having conversation with my coworker. And it's totally not related but this is life. Things just happen in an unpredictable way. And I was running my consulting business. I was thinking of closing it down, and then I meet this guy at work, and he has this import export business with sporting goods. And I asked him, so how did you start this business? And he said, have you heard of crowdfunding? So I created this. He's from New Hampshire, a small town, and he said that there is no good sporting facility there. And so he created this crowdsourcing a campaign on a crowdsourcing website, Kickstarter, and people just gave him money. And that was back in 2011 or 12, and it worked. And I was thinking, like, really, people just gave you money for starting your business? Like really? And then I was very curious, and I have heard of Kickstarter, Starter, and Indiegogo before that, but I guess I was more of a from a just as a viewer, visitor, as a lurker. I have seen that, but I really did not know the power and the impact it was making on the society. So I got curious, and I thought that So I'm also thinking about closing my consulting business, starting something of my own, something around my writing. So why not create a crowdsourcing campaign about my book, and see if people give me money to produce my book, and start from there. So I did that. And then, and Chris, so everything started from there. So, and I knew that, okay, so if people are going to give me money, they would want to trust me, and they would like to know that I'm going to use their money. I'm a good steward to their money. I mean, and they can trust me. So I need a website. So I need to create a website. So let's find, and I already have a couple of websites by then. I mean, I guess even now I have more than a dozen domain name, and I've had like several websites made before that. But I've always outsourced my website to India, because it was always into something technical, and a much bigger and vast and complex website. So it's way cheaper if you outsource that. But this time I was going to create something around writing, so I needed a different kind of website. So I did some research, and I came across this company which specialized into making websites for authors only. So I thought that, so this is the perfect company. They design websites only for authors and books. So they know what my exact needs are. So I had this initial phone call with this company, Smart's author site. And then the first question they asked me, so Sal, do you need a book website or do you need an author website? And I mean, trust me, I wish I knew the right answer then. So I said that I have this book coming in, I have this Indiegogo campaign going on. I really need people to contribute money towards my book. I need something fast. I need a book website. So I created my first version of the website, totally centered around my poetry book, which was my first book, The Naked Soul, the erotic love poems. And I designed the entire website from its color layout to its theme and everything around the book. And I knew that I'm going to have a lot of other books, but at that time I did not really think about how I'm going to accommodate other books and other projects. But anyways, long story short, so the first version of the website, which came in 2014, was created for my debut book, and the rest is history. And then I have made thousands of edits and changes since that time.
Wow, what a story!
But again, I mean,
But
everything. I guess it's just a matter of following your passion and taking one step after another, like just putting one fade at a time. And then as you move forward, you kind of see the light and you know, okay, which direction to move. And you constantly tweak.
Right, and that's what I love about what you just shared. Just you went in, you just did it. You weren't overthinking it. You're like, okay, I need this. I gotta have that. I gotta build this site for X, Y, and Z purposes. For the book, and you just did it. And then once you realized, oh man, I probably should do an author site. You just jump right back in. You tweaked it and made it what it needed to be to build your platform. And it's just, that's commendable because, like you said, you have the heart of an entrepreneur, and that's really what that was all about. Now you've got over 40,000 visitors since then. Like, how did that happen?
Actually, more than 400,000. So, in fact, I did the maths. It may be roughly 450,000 uh, visitors since then. Part of that number is also related to the advertisement that I did during my book launch. But I would say about 60%, if not more, of that traffic is totally organic and through my other social media channels. Uh, but yeah, so that's the next phase. So let's talk about that. But before we do that, I want to say one thing. So what you said is absolutely correct. And if I would have started this business in my mid 20s, I would have spent way more time on each step of the process, like even as we talked about the brand name. So, as you said, Naked Soul. So, I thought that, okay, this name is good, it's catchy, other people are using it, other people might have done their own testing. The word is good enough for me. This phrase is good enough for me. So, I did not waste, I guess, more than 7 days on that. Same thing with the website. I went with a book website, but then I really did not spend any time thinking about, oh, how do I make it both author website and a book website, or should I make it author website, or should I do this and do that? I mean, it was one phone call. I had 3 days to get back. I said I need a book website. They started working on that, and then I started working on my content around the book. And my focus was just how many copies can I sell. Also, one side note is, even before I published my book, I had this goal to make it some sort of a bestseller. So I needed my book to get on a bestseller list. Now, since I self-published my book, I knew that it's not going to get on any of the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and so on and so forth. And my social presence was not large enough to get me that many sales to hit those lists. And on top of that, I'm self-publishing and I'm starting, and this is my first book. So my focus was to get the book on a bestseller list, at least on Amazon. So it's a poetry book. It's love poetry. So that would be the absolute minimum. So I set my goal that the book needs to be number one, not number two, not number three, but number one bestseller on the poetry, love poetry. But luckily, when I after all the work, it hit number one in love poetry, and it also hit number one for themes and subject, something like that. That which is a little bit broader than love romance poetry. So which includes all types of poetry. But uh, how did that happen? So it all ties in. So the popularity and the visits to your website, the growth of your social media, your book promotion, these all cross feed each other. So if your website is getting traffic, that means more people are going to find your book and therefore buy the book. If your social media is growing, that means more people can now discover your website, and so on and so forth. If your website is getting visitors, that means more people can find your Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So it's a self-feeding cycle. And some of it, I know you have. Uh, as you mentioned, other questions we were talking about these specific social media, but my goal was to create a balanced growth. So what I'm going to say next is very, I would say, contrary to popular belief, and that is you have to focus on one social media, just as in life, you have to focus on one thing. And in 95% of the cases and times, that's the good advice. But sometimes you are the best judge to decide that what will work for you. And in my case, I knew that for me, like I'm already in my 30s now. I have all these experiences, so I just can't afford the time it takes to build these social platform and your own author platform. So I have to do it, which means I have to spend long hours, but I have to do it. I have no other option. So I have to create a website, I have to create content, and I have to also grow my social media, and I have to link them together so that the work I'm doing on my website gains me social followers, and at the same time the work I'm doing on my social platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook will also give me visitors back to my website. And at the same time I have to do editing, I have to find illustrator, I have to do all this production, post production, marketing, and all that thing going. So it was crazy, to be honest, but it worked out, and it's still in work. I mean, I should not say it worked out. Maybe it worked out for the book. It hit the goal that I set for the book, but it's still, for a large part, a work in progress.
Well, you've done an admirable job. I mean, your Facebook page, you're over 16,000. Your Instagram, you're just around, 5,100. Your Twitter, you're at 26,000. Your Pinterest has 31,000 followers. You're monetizing your YouTube. You're laying such a strong foundation. And I know that our listeners are probably going to want to know, well, wow, with impressive numbers like that, what are you doing on each channel to attract people?
Yes. So first thing, before we get into the doing part, it's crazy. So doing this means that your schedule is going to be crazy, and you have to work long hours. You probably have to sacrifice a lot of other personal interest. But what I want to say is that it's manageable and it's doable. You have to take help. You have to build a team. You have to get some tools, because manually it's not possible. I mean, no human can do that because you only have 24 hours. So, and you have to create content. So let me give you some of the tips, what I did. What I did initially is I created two separate teams. So my book was released on January 9th, 2015, this year. And to and again, coming back to the point of hitting a bestseller list, so it's important. So there are several categories. There is a category called new release. So my book was also a top seller in the new release, which is a separate list, besides being a bestseller. So for the new release, you have 30 days, and I'm talking strictly from Amazon perspective. Uh, but this holds true also for other publication bestseller lists. So the new release is 30 days. And I believe for publication, it would be like Wall Street Journal, New York Times, it would be month to month. But for Amazon, I am not 100% sure. It could be either from the date of your book is released to next 30 days, or it's a monthly 30 days. But give or take, a good rule of thumb is release your book early in the month. So if you're releasing in October, release on October 3 or 4th, or release it towards the end of the month. So first week or the second week, the last week. Um, and you have 30 days to maximize your sale to hit that list. So if your book comes in news and noteworthy or a top seller in new releases, a lot of people, and these website gets millions of visitor. So a lot of these viewers, those who are randomly browsing, are going to take a look at your book. So now some of them will buy your book. So every sale that you get during that 30 days and during the initial book launch is going to push your book towards higher up in sales rank. And if you hit a certain sales rank, a certain number of sales, which I believe for a poetry book, that would be as low as maybe 150. So if you sell your book, if you sell 150 copies of your book in 15 days or 25 days, and again, it depends on month to month, because you have to realize that a lot of books are released during the Christmas time. So Christmas is a peak season. So if you are releasing your book during Christmas time, you are going to face more competition. If you're releasing your book in February, March, you're going to face little bit more competition. So that's why I picked my book release date, January 9th, because a lot of people get ready, because a lot of people have either published their book late October or Christmas, and or they're waiting for the spring to come. So January was a strategic choice for that reason. So I did not know about news and noteworthy, but once it happened, I learned about that, and I knew that okay, it's helping me because it's selling a few copies. Plus, I'm pushing my book on my social media, so that is generating some sales. So in all, it got the book to number one. Once it hit the number one, I immediately made a blog post about that. I published that all across my social media. And then what happens, Chris, is that like success attracts success. And also it's a human nature that if you have the same book with the same cover, with the same story, with the same writer behind it, but if you just add a tag on a book, bestseller versus the same book, same cover, and don't mention that, a book with that tag will sell more copies because the viewers are going to think that this book better have interesting content or some good content. That's why a lot of people have bought it. So what happens is that each time your book climbs that ladder, a news and noteworthy, bestseller in new releases, and then bestseller of some sort of in a smaller category, and then it just pushes the book up and up in visibility and therefore more sales. So it's like a circular loop. It's like a spiral which pushes your book towards up. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I guess that is the story in nutshell.
Well, no, you definitely answered a different question I was going to ask you, which was, tips for how you, got your book up and going on Amazon and what you did to, make it run. So you answered that question. That's perfect. Now I want to go back and talk about basically just the social channels, like each one, like how you strategically build each of those channels.
Oh, right. Yeah. So we're talking about how do you bring visitors to your website, and it also apparently goes with how do you grow your social media platform. So yeah, I was talking about I built two team. One team was to help me with my content creation. And again, I'm talking about this is January and February, so for 2 months. So I hired two freelancer to create draft content for my blog. And at that time, my blog had only three posts, all three content which was written by me years ago. So I just kind of repurposed them. One was the very first post was on how to celebrate your 30th birthday, which was timely because I just turned 30 and I launched Naked Soul. And which is also a book project that I'm doing, and it's been on hold for years. So I just used a chapter, the introduction chapter from that draft, and used it as my first blog post. And then I created a few other smaller blog posts. But I knew that my time and energy is totally devoted into marketing my book because my book is already out. I have to get those sales number, and I have to get and as I told, so you I need visitors to my website. I need to grow my social channel, etc. And I cannot do it all on my own. So I hired these two freelancers on Elance, and I had told them that your job is to search the internet and and since the book was Naked Soul, the erotica poem, and search the internet on anything eroticism, romance, uh, love, intimacy, and things like that, and tell me blog topics. And then each one of you, so there were two people, each one of you are going to give me 30 suggestions. And out of the 30 suggestions, I'm going to pick three topics, and then you're going to write on those three topics. And that's what I did. And then once they did that, so I had about 60 topics. I picked six out of them, and then they wrote six draft posts. And then I found the images because I guess I think I paid about maybe $25 per piece of this content. So which is not a lot because my requirement was also that you're going to write no less than 3,000 word content. But you don't have to do images, you don't have to do editing. I just need the skeleton, and it has to be copyright free. It has to be. So I also created an agreement letter, and I had them sign the agreement letter that at any point, if I get into legal trouble, so I can hold you accountable that this is the contract we are signing. So this is what I'm looking for. This is what you have agreed to do for me. So January and February, uh, that was my focus for my website. That from the content perspective, I'm not going to spend any time because you know what? Even when you have a draft, it takes hours to publish a post, which is 2-3,000 word long, and then you have to do all the editing and you have to insert 5 to 8 pictures because it's the pictures which basically gets the visitor, and then it's the content which makes them stick to it. So you need both. And I had built another team. So the first team was based in United States, a little bit expensive, $25 per piece. And then the second team I created in India. The interesting thing is I found all these people through my Facebook connection. So I did not have to spend a lot of time hunt for these people. So I hired senior year college students or recent grads, those who were either working or were still in the job market. So the perfect candidate. I guess I paid them about $200 a month for 5 days of work, a couple of hours each day, and their work was to help me build my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, other poetry websites. So I have actually five long form blog posts on my website in book marketing category where I have actually documented what all I did. And Chris, even if I tell you, I mean, it's a lot. So I had them message people on Goodreads, and one of this person will message like 200 people, and then 50 of them will flag that message as spam, and then I will get the feedback that, hey Sal, you know what happened, so and I will do a status call. So I was working as project manager because my work was to basically launch this brand. I was not just launching a book. I was launching myself as an author and Naked Soul as a brand. So it was a lot of work, not just writing and content creation and promotion. It was a lot more. So I will do a status call, and then they'll say that, hey Sal, you know what? So this lady was so angry, and she said that I will complain to Goodreads and say that. So I will ask, so what did you send? And then he will send me. So this is the message I sent. So what I would do is I will give them a pre-written template, and I would say that you are allowed to tweak 20% of it, but do not change the format. So keep it this way. If anyone is pissed off, you have to immediately respond and apologize and say sorry. And I mean, make sure that no one is pissed off, because you're trying to create a brand and you don't want angry fans or pissed off people, basically. So I guess within 4 or 5 days of Goodreads experience, I had to say stop. No more personal messaging on Goodreads, because this is clearly not working. So you have to kind of, so we basically tried everything, everything that is there in the rule book and that is not in the rule book. And then whatever was not working, we eliminated that. And because it was all associated with me, with my name, and I had other people work for me, so I had to be very careful that my brand name is not hurt and people are not pissed off and everything is happening in an ethical, good way. So I had to constantly monitor and say, put stop on certain things and say that, okay, let's not do this, let's focus on that. So like, for example, Instagram works. So I had these three people, one in Kenya, two in India, all three of them work and just direct message people on Instagram with my book cover. And we are talking about early this year, right? Yeah, January, February. And you know what? It's so funny. Like the social media, it changes so fast. It's hard to imagine that I will do the same thing now. Because I would think that people would not appreciate that, because Instagram was 200 million user at that time when I launched my book. Right now it's 300 million. There are a lot of people who has joined Instagram. There are a lot of brands. Now the advertisement is possible on Instagram. When I launched my book, it was not. And people on average follow a lot more people on Instagram than they used to do back in 2012, 13 and 14. So anyways, but in my case it worked. So a lot of people followed back. A lot of people perhaps bought the book, which I have no way to scientifically verify what exactly led to the sales. But I do know Instagram, every time I will put concentrated effort on Instagram, I can monitor my sales, because as I told you, I published the book through Amazon Create Space under my own brand name, Naked Soul Press. But so every time a person buys a book, I can see the number. So you will see day by day basis that. So you know exactly. So you do not know who is this person buying your book, but you do know that, okay, today you did something and you have 5 sales. Today you did something and you have no sales. So you know that, okay, maybe this thing is working and the other thing is not working. So the secret, so to basically answer your question, you have to build a team, or if you cannot build a team, you need to involve friends or other people, those who can help you. But you need help. You have to have help to rapidly grow your brand. If you try to do it alone, you can do it, but it will take a lot longer than if you do it with a team of people.
Woo! Boy, that's some work. But that's awesome. You know, what we can take away from you, because I've heard you mention it throughout the entire episode, is that you're a time guardian. You know, you're very, very guarded about your time. You know, you say, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I didn't spend too much time on that. I spent 7 days on that and I moved on. I got my website done and I moved on. Like, you just kept on moving. And I think it's important for people to know, because I think we can get hung up in perfection and our wheels spin. We're like, okay, I've got to get this website exactly perfect and everything right before I launch it, or I've got to get this book 100% right and blah, blah, blah before I launch it. Despite the fact that we've read New York Times best-selling books that have typos and errors in them, we think for some reason we're exempt and we have to be perfect when we launch. And you're like, no, I'm launching this and I'm shipping that and I'm pushing this and I'm getting this out there. And you do it just fluidly and fearlessly. And I mean, it's commendable.
Totally. And sometimes it's more important to take action than to make sure that your actions are 100% right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more productive to just move on, like keep taking steps. You don't have to make sure that all of your actions are 100% perfect.
Correct. And as you began to build all these things with creating the blog post, with managing the team, with your social output, how big of a role did consistency play in that? Like, how consistent were you being on each channel and even on your blog?
I would say so as a goal, as my goal for 2015 and also for 2016 is to be consistent. That's number one. If you are consistent, you are going to be successful. Whether it's building a brand, whether it's growing your social platform follower numbers, or growing your bank balance, getting higher sales of your book, anything, you have to be consistent. So that's number one. Now, have I been consistent in 2014, 15? Not really, not to my expectation, because I still have a lot going on. And right now, I do not have a team. I mean, I do not have a team from past 6 months, because I have got a lot of tools put in place which automates a lot of my work. And I'm sort of saving my willpower and also my money, that when the right time comes, which is probably when my book 2 and 3 is ready to be launched, I'm going to build that team, and then I'm going to keep that for a little longer. And so right now I'm doing it all on my own. I'm doing my best to be consistent, but I'm not there yet. So this is what I did. And as you remember, we were having one time text conversation regarding consistency. So ideally, I would like to have a new piece of content either on my podcast or on my blog or on my YouTube. But I'm not able to do that as of today. So what I'm doing is the minimum. So after some time, after failing it miserably for many months, so what would happen is like a manic depressive. I will have this episode of mania, and I will just write and create content. So I will have a time, I will have like new poetry written, and I will have a new blog post, and I will have a video edited, and I will have all this creativity going on and all these content. And then 2 weeks after that, I'm so distracted with so many other things, and I'm not feeling that inspiration, or I'm not having that energy, and I'm not able to do that. So I thought that so after going through that for several months, I thought that what is the absolute minimum that I need to stay in the game, not to be the top player, not to be the most successful, but just to be in the game. What is the absolute minimum? Because there is so much competition and noise out there. So the I think the first step is survival, and then it would be success, and then it would be significance. So from a survival perspective, what do I need? I decided I need at least one podcast, one video, one blog post every week, and one content posted on my social media every day. That's the absolute minimum. So I created a checklist on my cell phone for each day. I also made a blog post on that. And I think I did that in early October or September. And suddenly, I think a lot of burden was lifted off my shoulder, because it was not that, oh, today is Monday, I have not made any video, I have not created a podcast, I have not created a new blog post. Or, oh, I posted on my Instagram, but I forgot to post on Facebook because my buffer queue is not full. Oh, I need to do that. And my Twitter is not doing that. And so many mentions I have not replied, and all these DMs I have not replied, and all these comments I have not engaged with, and I have to take care of this and that. So I will be like always stressed out. So after I created this checklist, so Monday I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tuesday I have this 1 to 6 tasks. Wednesday I have all these 1 to 6 tasks, and I made sure that my absolute minimum is taken care by this 1 to 6 um, task to do task list on for each day. So if it is, so today is a Sunday, so I have a list for Sunday. So as long as I check off everything that is on my Sunday plate, I am happy. It doesn't matter what I did on Saturday or if I did not do on Saturday. And if I miss a few things which is on my Sunday list, I'm not going to worry and stress about that tomorrow, because tomorrow I have a Monday list, so I'm going to focus on the Monday list. So I still miss a few things on a day-to-day basis, but I have realized that as long as I stick to my checklist of minimum to do action item, I am able to be consistent, which is at least one blog post every week, a new video every week, and a new podcast recording every week. So that's and one post on each social media every day.
That's a great system, and I hope our listeners really cued in on that. You can go from what you did, like the maximum, which was, having teams and building things, to dropping down to a minimum and still keeping yourself in the game without losing face, without losing your brand. So I like that you contrasted those together to make it possible for people who either have the time and energy to build a team, or for some of us who just don't have that.
So true. And I think part of it comes from my prior experience in running my own business and being an entrepreneur at heart. My first business plan that I started we were creating a electronic stretcher machine. That was in college. So like four friends chipping in money, trying to create. My degree was in computer electrical engineering, and four of us getting together and then creating an electronic stretcher and then trying to sell it. And it was a big flop. All of us lost $1,000 on that. And I guess as a student, as a poor student, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's probably all the saving that you have. So what I have realized is that, so what I did is that I spent money and time to create a momentum. So it was like three people trying to push the ship in the water. And once the ship is in deep water, you kind of sail on your own. And once you have caught enough fish and you think you can afford building a team, then you hire other people and build a team. So what I did is I took my business lesson from my prior enterprises, is that I need a momentum. Because if I start, because we all have to face this truth that there is a lot of competition and there is a lot of noise out there. So you have to stand out. And in today's world, it's difficult. If it's not next to impossible, it's difficult to stand out on your own. So you need a lot of help. And how can you do that? So some people will help you, and some people you just have to hire. So you have to see what you can get and where all the help you can have. So I created a team, I created a momentum, and then once I felt that, okay, my ship is now sailing, and even if I do not keep a team, I will slow down, but I will keep sailing, and which is fine. And once I turn my business into a profitable enterprise, then I'm going to hire my first person, most likely a full-time person, and then add a second person, and then so on and so forth.
I like that despite you kind of running things in the background at a slower pace, you've got the whole big picture ready to go.
Yes, my friend, that's true.
I posted a quote on my Facebook page from Edison a couple days ago, really just paraphrasing. It's like, you hustle while you wait.
I like that. So true.
Yeah.
I guess you hustle when you're hustling, and you also hustle while you wait.
Well, yeah, because while you're waiting for things to happen, like, you said you're working on book 2 and book 3, you're probably still kind of working, okay, here's the marketing plan for book 2, here's how I'm going to promote book 2. So while it's still incubating, you're still developing the plan so that when, like you said, once the ship hits deep water, it can sail for itself.
Hmm. Also, one thing, now that you mentioned that, one very important piece of advice which really helped me was the another advantage I had of having a team is I had few hours left to me to do whatever I want. And how I used that time is to build connection. And by that I mean build a genuine connection, not just sending a hi or a direct message or a Facebook message or just an email that, hey friends, my book is coming out, please buy a copy. So, and help and support me. Rather than that, because I had people help me with my book launch, my brain was not fried, and therefore I was able to keep my cool. I mean, I was under tremendous amount of pressure, no doubt about that, but I was able to keep my cool and therefore build meaningful relationships with other people. So that gave me an advantage of like building that bond with other writers and other people with their platform and help them. So I thought, how can I use this time? So if I help other people launch their product, their book, their businesses, spread their ideas, they are going to reciprocate and do the same for me. And because I am not all that self-absorbed in my own book promotion, because I have other people doing that like a team of maniacs, I can keep my cool and be genuine with other people and not be impatient that for example, hey Chris, how is it going, and I have a book coming out, this and that, and you said that, okay, I will help you promote it, and then, okay, thanks, talk to you later. So rather than doing that, because I have to talk to 50 other Chris, because I'm doing it all alone, so I have other people doing this because they're not as invested in my brand as I am. So when I am reaching out to other people, I'm giving them my full ears and I'm listening to them. I'm also hearing what is their story. So that leaves an impression where other people are more likely to help you and remember you. And that pays back, manyfold.
Oh, absolutely. I fully subscribe to that. Very good. We're going to come in for a landing now. You've, brought so many good things to this episode. I really appreciate it. And so what I want to do is give you an opportunity to just share a little bit of wisdom with the listeners.
What I have done recently, and my current focus is I am turning my website, which is my home, into an author website. So if someone goes to thenakedsoulpoem.com, it will not look at all like a book website. In fact, on the homepage, you would not even see a mention of the book. In fact, on any page, wherever you go on the blog post, and there are 72 posts right now, you would not see any mention to the book or in the widget or in the sidebar, because the blog, I'm trying to create this blog as a go-to destination for anyone who is trying to seek inspiration, motivation, tips, know-hows, how-tos, sort of thing. So I'm trying to create a resource website with a lot of quality content so that it becomes a go-to hub for people. So my big focus right now is working on my blog, because I know as the blog grows, you also get more followers on your socials. The other thing I'm doing is better optimization. Two things I would recommend, which goes along with how you can manage your social media and blog, is that you can get something like Hootsuite or Buffer, or any tool which automates your social media sharing, and they're very cheap. Uh, I'm using Buffer. It's, I guess, $9 or $10, or maybe $8.99 per month. I've been using it for almost a year now from the beginning. So, and trust me, it's still a lot of work, because you have to populate your buffer queue for each social media with your content. The buffer is only going to automate the posting and the scheduling part, but you still have to populate with your content. So that takes a lot of time. So I'm doing that. I'm trying to automate that uh, more efficiently. And I'm also working on uh, record more podcast and start a podcast most likely next year. All these things were on my plate for 2015, and I said that, you know what, it's fine if it's not happening this year. It can wait until next year, because as long as I'm doing one productive thing on my website or on my brand, I'm happy. So my mantra for every day is that, if so every night, so if I did something productive, if I created a piece of content, if I did something towards my brand, I'm happy. It doesn't matter if certain things. So also kind of like being flexible with your goals. Certain goals you have to be very strict. You have to work really hard and hustle to meet those goals. And certain goals you have to be flexible and see and test what works for you.
Awesome. Hey, Sal, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.
I had
And it was a lot of fun talking to you.
Wow, what an inspiring episode. If you weren't able to take notes, I've got you covered. visit my website at www.chrisjonesinc.com/podcast to get today's show notes as well as access other episodes you may have missed. Be sure to subscribe and rate the podcast on iTunes. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.